My name is Denzel Porteous, and I'm the Interim Executive Director at Stonewall Columbus. For anyone unaware, Stonewall Columbus is an organization that works with the lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, and queer communities across Central Ohio. During the last 4 decades, Stonewall Columbus has provided a listening ear, a friendly smile, life-saving information, connections to life-enhancing services, and support to the LGBTQ community, not only in Columbus and the Central Ohio region, but across the state, and oftentimes to those who have had nowhere else to turn. Stonewall has also worked with allies across the community to lobby for and achieve political and social equality, working to uplift the community to ensure that we all thrive. In addition to an array of evolving programming, Stonewall produces Lavender Listings, a listing of local products and services from LGBTQ+ friendly businesses and organizations, and Columbus's Pride Parade and Festival. Started in 1981, Pride now welcomes over 800,000 visitors to the Columbus region. We are a dynamic organization that connects roughly 40,000 people to resources every year, and I'm honored to help us remember our mission as we work to ensure our organization and community are moving forward. In June of 1969, America had failed to hear the cries of the LGBTQ+ community's humanity as their livelihoods and their lives were being taken away in public sight. A pillar of New York City's LGBTQ community, Marsha P. Johnson, was a Black transgender queer rights activist who fought discrimination. A regular at the Stonewall Inn who gained recognition as one of the first people to push back against the police following the raid on the gay bar in June 1969. The Stonewall uprisings were riots against police brutality, but also protests against the injustices enacted on a people, the LGBTQ+ community. It was Black and trans people who served as the champions of change in that moment, the leaders of protests, Black and trans people who had greater injustices enacted on their bodies than their white counterparts. As we celebrate Pride, we cannot truly be proud without recognizing the Black members of our LGBTQ+ community who were and are fighting for not only LGBTQ+ rights, but also fighting for equity and justice as Black people in the LGBTQ+ community, and moreover in America. To be fully proud, we must uplift and give praise to those who fought to get us here, Black and trans members of the LGBTQ+ community. Columbus's first Pride Parade in 1981 was 200 people marching from The Ohio State University to the State House in commemoration of the 1969 Stonewall Uprising. In 1982, Stonewall Columbus organized Columbus's first official gay pride parade. The 1982 Columbus Pride Parade attracted more than 500 marchers and marked the first year that the event was known as the Gay Pride Parade. In 1984, the Pride Parade, then also known as the Ohio-Michigan Lesbian and Gay Pride Parade, drew 4,000 people. And while our demonstration to celebrate LGBTQ+ pride has grown from 200 people to over 800,000 people gathering from across the globe, we have not always allowed the appropriate space to honor and recognize all of our community as we fight for all of us to be seen and thrive. We will do better. 2020 has been a year like no other. Our country and our communities are having a great awakening to the systemic racial inequities persistent in our culture. And we've also heard our community asking us, all of us, to rethink how we celebrate Pride. Is now no better moment? For understandable reasons, amid this pandemic, many in-person Pride events across the country and globe were canceled. And at the beginning of this pandemic, we pivoted and rescheduled our in-person Pride Festival and Parade to October 3rd. And during the midsummer weeks, we were forced to cancel any in-person gathering. And although we cannot celebrate Pride together in person this year, our sense of community and unity remains. Pride is many things to many people, but it is at its core about our community's desire to be seen and accepted. This sense of pride will never fade and will still be with our community beyond any single moment or month. Our community's pride is 365 days a year.
Happy birthday, Stonewall Columbus. Thank you for 39 years of calling Columbus home and serving as a place of refuge for our LGBTQ+ community and a resource to allies like me and many others. Happy birthday!
I was born and raised Columbus, Ohio. Went to Lyndon McKinley High School, so I'm a proud product of Columbus Public Schools. All through high school, I was pretty good at math and sciences, so I went to Ohio State for a year after graduating and was an engineering major. And about the same time I was getting bored studying engineering, a recruiter came and knocked on my door. About the same time as well, Bill Clinton was campaigning for president, and part of his campaign was promising to end the ban on gays and lesbians serving openly in the military. So the combination of those three things kind of inspired me all at the same time to do something different, and that's why I joined the Army. So the campaign was still going on when I joined. And back then, this was part of the don't ask part, was they asked. So when you were joining, the question was on your application, if you will, whether or not you had homosexual tendencies or had ever had a homosexual relationship. When I joined, it was asked, and you had to lie about it. It was kind of a time when I knew I was gay, but I wasn't really out to myself either. We had a guy, and of everybody I remember from basic training, of course, he's one that I remember. He came out in the middle of a formation and he started crying and told the drill sergeants, "I have to go home, I'm gay," and no one believed him. We all kind of thought he just wanted out because it's a high stress. It's a very stressful time. So nobody believed him. So right there in the middle of our formation in Fort Knox, at like 5:30 in the morning, he put out pictures of him and his boyfriend, and we never saw him again after that. I was a 19-kilo M1A1 tank operator. So I drove an M1A1 tank for 4 years. We would go do desert training and go live on our tanks for 5 or 6 weeks at a time. But that was a lot. Reflecting back, I remember when we would leave on a deployment like that, counting the days until we would be back. But now I'd give anything to go back and spend another week out there doing that. I think most of the community knows me through working on repealing Don't Ask, Don't Tell. I had become, at some point, Terry Penrod, who I think just about everybody knows, contacted me and asked me to get involved with HRC here locally. So I did that, and I became a member of the Board of Governors, and that was when the push to repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell was moving forward. And with HRC being very much on the forefront of lobbying, getting communities involved, not just the LGBT community, but allies as well. I became kind of a spokesperson for that. So I actually traveled a lot around the state. I recruited a lot of veterans to lobby George Voinovich. It is telling personal stories, and with getting marriage equality passed, and the couple in Bexley who were denied by a photography service, I think, for their wedding, and led to the city of Bexley passing the ordinance. All of this comes from people sharing their personal stories, and Don't Ask, Don't Tell is no different. Part of what my role with HRC was really getting to know people who are veterans and identifying who has a compelling story to go tell Senator Voinovich and his staff, and B, who would be a good presenter in doing that. HRC targeted the votes that they think that were either borderline yes, and we need to secure those votes up, or borderline no, and maybe we can sway them over. And Senator Voinovich was neither of those. He was right in the middle. They had no idea what he was going to do. So the vote really could have gone either way, but his vote was one of the key ones that they needed to move over. People were telling us every single day that you're never going to get George Voinovich's vote. And I knew, working with his staff and being in his office basically monthly, either here in Columbus or in DC, over a 6-month period, that I had a good feeling. And on Saturday morning, I'm laying in bed watching C-SPAN for the votes. And, and I'm surprised that neighbors didn't come and knock on the door when they heard me screaming after I saw his vote. I think a lot of people are still surprised that from both our community and from the general public, that LGBT people really are serving in the military. Doing the opening ceremonies for the Gay Softball World Series and doing color guard for that, people just assumed that we were military people who came in as part of our everyday job requirements to do this, not realizing that we were the local LGBT veterans group. And we need people out there telling their stories and sharing their experiences with not just the population as a whole, but within our community as well.
I love wearing thought-provoking t-shirts, anything from my beloved Buckeyes to my rainbow-lettered "Be You, the World Will Adjust" t-shirt. But I especially like wearing this shirt that proclaims the first Pride was a riot. And I like wearing this shirt because it reminds everyone who sees it, including me while I'm wearing it, that I am a proud black gay man. And the only reason I can wear a shirt proclaiming such a bold statement is because of a black trans woman, Marsha P. Johnson, who back in 1969 threw a brick at the Stonewall Inn as she watched her gay, lesbian, and transgender friends being brutalized by police for simply gathering together. That brick ignited a 7-day riot that eventually exploded into a movement that led directly to U.S. Supreme Court decisions earlier this month and a few years ago that proclaim and affirm I, as a gay man in this country, have the same rights as any straight man. I hope the unrest in the streets today in 2020 produced the same outcome, but only sooner for the black bodies and black lives who are out there also being brutalized by police and who are being oppressed by racist, institutional, and systemic government structures. The first Pride was a riot.
As we celebrate Pride Month, we must also call attention to the fact that in most parts of Ohio, it is still legal to discriminate against the LGBTQ community. Without basic protections, LGBTQ Ohioans can lose their jobs, be denied housing, or refuse service simply because of who they are or who they love. That's not the Ohio that we want to live in.
But with the Ohio Fairness Act, lawmakers have the opportunity to extend basic protections to the LGBTQ community. This bill will prohibit discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity. It also makes economic sense. Over 850 businesses have signed on in support.
It is far past time for LGBTQ equality. All Ohioans deserve to be protected from discrimination. Stand with us and help advance the Ohio Fairness Act by taking action today.
Continental Office has been involved with Stonewall Columbus and the annual Pride Parade for years, and we're so excited to be part of this year's virtual events. For our associates, for our families, for all, we are one team, and we stand resolute and proud with you. Let's take a look back through parades of the past as Continental Office celebrates Pride. Now more than ever, Pride is an opportunity for us to unite and come together as one, celebrating our differences and empowering each of us to be our truest self. Columbus, we stand strong with you, and we can't wait to march proudly with you again.
PFLAG Columbus celebrates
the heart of Pride.
Happy Pride from PFLAG.
PFLAG Columbus says Happy Pride.
Happy Virtual Pride from PFLAG.
Happy Pride.
PFLAG wishes you a happy Pride.
Les mandamos muchos cariños y mucho amor de parte de PFLAG.
We're sending you PFLAG love.
We love you.
PFLAG loves you.
I send all my love to all of you.
PFLAG educa a los familiares y amigos en la comunidad LGBTQ.
PFLAG educates families and allies.
PFLAG educates.
PFLAG apoya a las familias LGBTQ.
PFLAG supports.
PFLAG advocates for LGBTQ plus people.
PFLAG advocates for you.
PFLAG Columbus celebrates 25 years of education, support, and advocacy.
Education.
Apoyo.
Advocacy.
PFLAG rocks.
Los extrañamos mucho.
We miss you.
We miss hugging you.
Quisiéramos apapucharlos fuerte, fuerte.
PFLAG misses hugging you.
Happy Pride, Columbus.
Happy Pride. Sending you PFLAG love.
Happy Pride, everybody!
Well, I was born in Alabama, small town parish, and I decided to join the military because I wanted to be in the military. I wanted to serve my country, and I was very happy the time that I spent in it. Well, I went to training in South Georgia there at Fort Campbell, I think it was. That's wherever I can remember. And then ended up in Fort Devens, Massachusetts. And after that, I was transferred and moved to Frankfurt, Germany. And in Frankfurt is where everything happened. I met a young man, I guess, about my age at that time, on the sidewalk, and we started talking, and I don't know who made a move, but we didn't do anything either. Right after the conversation and move, I was just like a police officer behind me so it had to be in a sting operation. Well, I was immediately, like in next 2 or 3 days, I was on an airplane back to New York, and discharged almost immediately, just bang, 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 you know. No explanation, no conversation, no nothing. Oh, no, well, actually, if I had openly said why I was discharged, I would have never, back in those years, I mean, you would have been a piece of trash. And I didn't tell anybody. My family never knew it. My wife never knew it. Nobody knew it. But I was very successful in my life. And I married, had 3 children, which I'm very proud of. They're very successful. I have one in California as events planner, very successful. And I've been successful. I had 2 companies. One company I had 2,200 employees, and I sold it, the human resource company, and I just had a great life. And I just look at it now and say, for what happened in the military, nobody can damage me for what what I do today. My daughter from California was in, and we started talking about my military, and I finally acknowledged to her that I had been in the military and been undesirably discharged. And with that, she was very acceptable, had no repercussions, she had no upset about it, and she ended up getting in touch with Lori Gum with Stonewall, and then she and I and Lori got all of our paperwork together and sent it out to get our records. The fact that I'm 82 years old and I kept this all a secret, and I don't think it was the right thing to have been done. So many people have suffered the same thing I suffered. Well, we got the records thanks to Lori Gum and her work that she did, even though they said that they couldn't find the records to begin with. And then after a little bit of effort on our part, or Lori's part, they found the records. First they said they were burned. And now it's been so great that the records were found, application was made, and they came back and said it'd be a year. And Lori and myself has said, we can't wait for another year because I'm 82 years old. I'd like to get it solved. And we've asked Senator Brown to help us, and he has written a letter to the Army Department. So hopefully that will take care of it, and hopefully it'll do it soon. And I'd be so happy when the conclusion comes to this and I get my honorable discharge, and I'd be happy for my family and anybody that knows about it. And I hope that happens with every other person that was mistreated. And I'd like to suggest and say to those military people who has had this happen to them, move forward and try to get it changed. You'll be happier, and there's no need in you having to put up with it. So that's the way I feel about it.
Thank you. how we wish we were with you today on the streets of the Short North, holding our banners, waving our pride flags, and high-fiving each other in celebration of the diversity and inclusion of the LGBTQ community. On this day of Pride celebration, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about how Abbott prioritizes diversity and inclusion. We encourage our employees to bring their true self to work each and every day. We do this through a series of affinity networks, including our Asian Leadership and Cultural Network, A Voice, our Latino and Hispanic Network, our Black Business Network, and our Women's Leadership Association, and of course, Pride. So in honor of today, happy Pride, everyone, from your friends at Abbott.
This time 2 years ago, I was looking for a job. I had just been laid off. A friend of mine reached out to me and she said, hey, there's a position open in project management where I work, and that's what you do. I work at Abbott. I applied. I wanted to see. A couple days later, I got a call from the hiring manager, my director, and he brought me in for an interview. And the second I sat down, I felt different. I felt like this was a place where I could go and I could retire from. Like, just instantly, I felt that way in the company. Long story short, interview happened, got hired, really started to enjoy in the first couple days the community that's there. A lot of what we do is saves lives, and most of what we do enhances life. And that's a pretty cool thing, to be able to work on products like that. And we're given opportunities based on the work that we do. It doesn't matter if you're gay, straight, lesbian, black, trans, it doesn't matter. At Abbott, you're all treated equally, and that's a phenomenal feeling within that organization. You walk into Abbott, you walk in the doors, and you see a sea of smiles. And really 2 years later, when I walk in the doors at Abbott, I see a sea of smiles. And there is nothing I want more in a company than that.
One of my fondest memory was the first time we walked in the Columbus Pride Parade. I remember my daughter was around 2 and I pulled her along in her wagon. I decorated it with the rainbow flag, and I thought she must have felt like a princess waving to the people as we walked by. That meant a whole lot to me to know that our company was behind us, and that made me proud to be Abbott.
Hi everyone, I wish we were all together celebrating Pride this year, but we can get it done virtually. As an ally, I feel like it's my job to support, lend my voice, and actively amplify the voices of the LGBTQ+ community. It is our job as allies to make sure that your voices are heard, and more importantly, that you feel supported, loved, and able to walk into this world and into the workplace as who you are and not have to hide. I am so proud to work for a company where we have opportunities to support and really be inclusive of everyone. So thank you so much and have a happy Pride.
Happy birthday, Stonewall, from all of us at Nancy Day Ochauer for Ohio.
A great thank you to many of our longtime sponsors and partners who contributed to enable this virtual celebration. Their help ensures that Stonewall Columbus and the community receives the critical connection to resources that we all need throughout the year. Stonewall Columbus's mission is to increase visibility, inclusion, and connection for the LGBTQ+ community, so we see a community where all of us thrive. We affirm the Center on High as a community center for all the intersectional identities of the LGBTQ+ community and our allies. Our community's pride is 365 days a year. In a world which often tells LGBTQ+ people there's something wrong with who we are and who we love, Pride has been a time of coming together as a community with our allies to celebrate our richly diverse identities. For over 39 years, Stonewall Columbus has supported the community, and we cannot continue this great work without your help. Your generous gift to Stonewall Columbus is used to support the first and only LGBTQ+ community center in Central Ohio, and the valuable programs, services, and connections to resources we provide the LGBTQ+ and allied communities across Central Ohio. If you're able, visit stonewallcolumbus.org/donate to support Stonewall's vital work and to ensure we can uplift our community and celebrate our pride 365 days a year. We thank you for your support. While COVID-19's impact on Columbus's Pride events in 2021 remains uncertain, we have made some determinations. One such determination is that we will return to the heart of our pride by de-emphasizing our dependency on the overproduction of a march and festival. In 2021 and beyond, we will return to the roots of our protest, to a march. The Columbus Pride March and Festival will work to center our emphasis on the people, not the companies. We look forward to working with many of our sponsors as they work to honor and uplift their employees who hope to bring their full selves to work each day. We hope to continue partnerships with many of the companies that support our annual Pride events as we shift our engagement from a singular moment in June to a continued movement throughout the year, a movement that benefits our corporate partners and the communities in which they exist and do business. The communities Stonewall serves. We can't wait to have you join us next year as we celebrate 40 years of Pride. In September 2020, Stonewall received a $9,000 Spectrum Digital Education Grant for our Center Connections program. This grant and program will allow us the opportunity to create a mobile computer lab to provide access to technology for members of the community who can't readily afford equipment or find access to technology in safe and welcoming environments. We will also leverage the laptops to provide educational training in areas like online job search, resume building, virtual interviewing, financial literacy, and more. We're excited about this opportunity and look forward to leveraging it to our community's benefit. Don't forget to visit stonewallcolumbus.org for the most up-to-date information about center programming. As Stonewall continues to welcome the community back to the center, we hope to create a space where all can gather and make connection. In 2021, Stonewall will launch LGBTQ Tea and Coffee, a social enterprise aimed at uplifting the trans and recently incarcerated members of the LGBTQ community through skills training in a coffee and tea house setting. Funds generated from LGBTQ Tea and Coffee will be reinvested in the Stonewall Center to further programming and support for the LGBTQ community here in Central Ohio. We look forward to welcoming you back to the center.